Kanpai! Welcome everyone to Kanpai Cast episode 155, where we're going to be talking about, well, space. I put the space inside Nasuth's head, which, you can see if you look close, but really it's just space in general, and how different sci-fi anime, mostly, let's face it, uses space to their advantage, their disadvantage, how it shapes the universe. But before we get into that, we have just the normal amount of housekeeping. I don't think we have anything extra this week. Just the general YouTube malarkey. Like the video, comment. I love your comments. I need your comments. I thrive off of your comments. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Apparently, there's a hype button now as well. Sometimes, maybe. I don't know. So if you see that hype button, I guess hit it. Otherwise, don't. We also have all the memes and stuff are in the description in the links below. You can find us on our various social media platforms that we probably neglect most of the time. There's a link to the Discord. We're always active in the Discord, so you can always go there. I think that's basically it. Shall we get to the actual episode today?
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of what the fuck is this hype button?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard about it.
It might be for streams.
Who the hell? Okay, streams would make sense. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you know about the hype button, tell us in the comments below.
Given that this is not a stream, we could make it into a proper premiere, and then there might be a hype button.
Oh.
Yeah, that's effort. That is
effort.
The problem is, with the premieres, you can't roll back, as far as I understand it. So, as it's started, if you're not there for the start of the premiere, you basically have to come back once the whole thing's finished.
No, that's what I do because I don't like to start in the middle of things. But you can roll back.
Yeah. I didn't think you could. That was the surprising thing is just I swear before you could, but then it's just they just took it out for some reason. Yeah.
If you know about premieres, let us know in the
anyway.
Let us know in the description below. Not the description, in the comments below. Right.
If you can edit our description, please apply at the Discord.
Right. So, we talking about space, and we basically decided that's it's mostly going to be sci-fi. Xeno made this wonderful genre picker. So we can just kind of look at our sci-fi shows and be like, hey, does this have space in it?
Yeah.
But it's stuff like, to put it in Western terms, it's you can think of how Star Trek treats space and traversing it versus how Star Wars treats it, where you just they don't really care too much about the actual time or distance. They just hyperspace there.
Exactly. I mean, they do care a little bit about distances when they talk about the Millennium Falcon doing a run in less than 12 parsecs.
Parsecs.
Yeah, but that's because originally he didn't know that it was a unit of distance and not time.
Yeah, but they patched it in the other movie.
Yeah,
which we will never speak of. But okay, so here's my question to you, gentlemen, before we start. How important to you is space in sci-fi? And we're talking outer space here. How much do you... Yeah?
It definitely depends on the sci. Well, I assume we're talking about space sci-fi to ground your question, because otherwise it doesn't really matter in a lot of cases. But if I'm watching space sci-fi, I like them to at least get some things accurate. Even in Event Horizon, which is a terrible, wonderful, terrible movie, they point out that they need to go into cryosleep because it takes so long to get to Jupiter, and that's accurate. It does take a long ass time to go to Jupiter.
Just to get more stupider.
And what about you, Thaylien?
See, I like even in more urban sci-fi settings where you're largely on a planet and you're dealing with like mecha or things on a global scale, not on a space scale. There are sometimes scenes where they'll throw something into space, and as long as it respects the technology and effort needed to actually do that, where going into space is something that is very different from what they're dealing with on the planet and has all these unique rules that need to be applied, then that actually makes it mean something. Whereas in sci-fi that's set in space, I really want to see space as more like an ocean. You know, the way that it's dealt with. You're going out into this place that's far from your world, and you have to prepare for it. You have to take the right, ship, the right crew, the right anything. So you have to respect that if you go out there, there's a solid possibility you could die.
You have to really consider all the options, and you have to show preparation and consideration in your narrative. You can't just go, there you go, job done.
Yeah, so I've never really liked the Star Wars style of just, going to hyperspace and getting between worlds.
On this page that kind of embody different aspects of this. So to bring it into anime terms, on the one hand, you have GunBuster, which almost goes too far into the realism of space. Yes, they're doing incredible things. They're destroying half of a galaxy or what have you. But the thought that they put into the actual space travel, the fact that they talk about the time dilation effect because they're moving at the speed of, near the speed of light. The fact that, at the end, they're like, yeah, it'll take us this much time to get home. And it does. And, but people have gotten there ahead of them because of the way they've had to travel and have prepared for them coming back, because they know they're going to come back. GunBuster hits that hard sci-fi aesthetic that you're talking about, where they really put a lot of thought and effort into it. On the other hand...
No. I mean, it's not so much that realism aesthetic. I think I've misspoken on that. I would say it has to be something that you have to respect as a character in the show. Regardless of whether you've got some fantastical technology that lets you zip around to other worlds, in ridiculous times, or not. Going out into space itself has to be something that is important to the characters.
Right. Okay. Never mind then.
What was the other one you were gonna say?
Well,
it might actually
was
illustrate this.
Galaxy Express, which I don't know if you've ever actually watched, but in that one, the goal is still to get out into space. It's just that the way that they travel is much more fantastical. I mean, they're traveling on essentially a steamliner or a steam engine train. That's going through space, right? But you still got robots and androids and aliens and there's a whole bunch
sci-fi elements.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in space. It's kind of a like Outlaw Star in some regards, where the space is an excuse or is a vehicle for them having adventures. And finding the galactic ley line is something that everyone wants to do. They aspire to, and that sort of thing.
Because this is the thing. In this, it may be ridiculous, but space is where you go to have your adventures. It's where you're going to find other things to experience. You're finding phenomena. You're finding people.
Life on the planet kind of sucks. You want to get out there where there's freedom and adventure and a new world to explore.
And you can see that even in the more political ones, like Gundams. A lot of the Gundam ones have politics based as a divide between the Earth and outer space, or the space colonies, as a basic concept, where they see themselves separate, even though they come from the same location. And that's what humanity is all about. It's about these divisions that we imagine for ourselves, and the politics that comes from it. So it has to actually has to mean something in the world that we're exploring. That's why, as taking go back to Star Wars, for example, I don't like that, because in space is just a place that you occasionally have a space battle, but it's always around the planet to give it some reference. And the
is there
all
one
of the
like
actual
that's anime? I wonder.
I do. I think there is, right? So I think there is the Star Wars equivalent of anime, which is Outlaw Star.
Ah,
right?
Really?
Yeah, I'd easily argue that Outlaw Star is the Star Wars of anime, right?
See, I was not going to say that. But go on, explain.
So basically, the ship that they're on is utterly tiny, right? It's smaller than the Black Lagoon, the actual speed. Well, the battle boat is battle barge. What I don't know what classification of vessel the Black Lagoon is from the series Black Lagoon. I'm struggling on that part.
It's smaller than the Firefly. It's smaller than the Firefly.
Well, yeah, I'd certainly say it's smaller than the Firefly. No, it feels smaller than the Black Lagoon because
it feels smaller, but it's got a cockpit. It's got that's mounted on top. It's got the whole living quarters with the kitchen and galley and everything. It's got storage down there.
Okay, it's weird you say this, because I don't remember there being a kitchen on the Outlaw Star.
Yeah,
there definitely was.
If you basically, what really tricks you into thinking that is the cockpit, Xeno. The cockpit of the Outlaw Star is designed to be to have all these views and have a very small, confined crew. With Milfina saying, well, what you don't see a lot of the time is that the actual cockpit is only a tiny little module on top of the ship. It's actually surprisingly big. It's a fighter ship. It's not. Nasuth has got it on.
I'm trying to find
screen,
some
the
good interior.
But
we see James filling up the storage. We see
from the outside, isn't it?
No, he's in it. He's down the ladder.
Okay.
And we see Gillian actually lower himself down as one of his little capsules to go talk to him.
There's the cockpit. That tiny bit is the cockpit.
Tiny cockpit.
And then we've got all the rest of this ship.
All the engines, the grappler arms.
I get that, but my belief was that this didn't fall into completely Star Wars logic, where the engine's like this big, this tight. This is the engine. This is
72 meters long. Is a surprisingly big ship, but it's nothing compared to the starships. You're right. It's a lot smaller than the other ships out there. But it's a larger scale grappler ship.
But at the same time, like the cockpit of the shuttles that get launched by the rockets in our everyday life, right? The cockpit's absolutely fucking tiny compared to the rest of the bloody shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
So
but we're also using like conventional fuel, and who knows what kind of, they're using ether.
Yeah.
They
also have super drive, but my point is that with Outlaw Star, like, distance seems irrelevant. Let's just go to hyperspeed.
Aside from the one where they're racing, but yes.
Yeah, the fact that's what tipped it for me, is that there's a race between planets of a system.
Do they use the hyperspeed thingy in that race?
No, they are faster, but it does take them hours to get to another planet. The race is conducted over several hours to go between the three planets they go to. And there is a phenomenon that's coming into that big white wall of things that's going to cover up one of the checkpoints.
I would say,
they were watching it.
That
they have an hour to get through that.
It is closer to, say, Star Wars or Firefly, where it's less important the distances and more important, the destinations.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's. I'm with you on that, but I keep coming back to this thing that space itself for the characters means something. It means adventure, and yes, they're stopping off on planets to get there, but of course they have to stop where people are. Many of the times they're actually in a space station instead of solid
And they
ground.
do still have episodes that take place fully in space too.
Yes, one of the episodes is dedicated around the fact that they got into a fight in space, had to come back to port, repair, went out into space, and got into the same fight again and won. They didn't go very far, but they still they had the that thing of the second you leave safety, you're out there and you're able to be attacked.
Yeah.
So I
in this
feel
case,
that
the space is kind of like the American Western frontier back in the cowboy days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would give you something similar to that, yeah, sure. But I feel that, first off, we will never have anything like Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek in not only anime, but also Western media, right? There's always a sort of more dire straits, or there's never like peaceful exploration, Stardate, blah 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 blah. It's always dire straits 100% of the time. Look, you've already raised it, GunBuster, right? GunBuster is just like, boy, that escalated the anime, right? But at the same time, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. So I don't think we would see any real anime out there aside from maybe Gundam, where it's like,
pure exploration,
the more diplomatic political side of space.
Well, you could argue Planet S, but that's local space.
Oh, so is Gundam. Gundam rarely ever exceeds the Earth sphere.
True.
So, and we're ignoring Reconquista. Fuck you, Reconquista. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So, I did ask you before, like, in terms of in general, like, what does space mean to you when it comes to sci-fi? In all honesty, sci-fi has become this all-encompassing genre. I feel that sci-fi really needs to be broken down, right? It's like...
I'm sure there are subcategories that we're ignoring, but yeah.
Urban sci-fi is a thing.
Is urban sci-fi a thing?
In the same way that urban fantasy is a thing. So if it's set in a city, cyberpunk is classed as urban sci-fi, but that's a recent classification. It's not like a huge thing. Okay?
Right.
So it is set in the future. It is science fiction. All these things don't exist, but it's in terms of that, it's a recognizable future to us.
Yeah,
and it's set within a city, which is a very grounded setting for all the wild things that actually do happen.
I mean, the reason why I say this is because, Star Wars has been, widely adopted now as no longer sci-fi, but sci-fantasy.
Fantasy, yes.
Yeah, and I think there is a lot to that. But at the same time, we now have, as you put it, urban fantasy. I would love to have modern time travel, or modern day time travel, or something like that, because like we have so many shows, not only in anime but also in the
regular
West,
Western fiction, yeah,
where it's just a case of, let's have time travel but bring it to modern day. And that is a classification, especially from the West, I just detest.
Unless it's Travelers, and then you like it.
Okay, I have one that I bet you haven't seen. Western time travel sci-fi, The Time Traveler's Wife.
I don't think
it's a movie. It was a book. So the plot of that is that the character the story is told, about the time traveler's wife, but it's told from the perspective of this time traveler. He has the equivalent of epilepsy, except when it triggers, he disjoints from time and winds up at different places that are important to his life, including spending time with the woman that he's going to marry. After he meets her and falls in love, he spends time with her when she's a child at one of her at her father's country cabin, and it's like some secret person that she talks to in the woods. Versus he jumps forward and finds himself naked in a parking lot in the middle of an American winter, where he's literally going to freeze to death, and he gets crippling frostbite in his feet because he's trying to get out of this place and he's locked in. And when he's eventually found, it's not by it's by somebody who's a lot older that he knows in his present time. So he's gone forwards, and it's a very tame story in the sense of it's just his life and his troubles having a family and having a child, but it is very much about how he jumps back and forth through time, and it's very it's set in the modern day. So I would call that modern time travel, because he doesn't actually go anywhere silly. It just goes within his own lifetime.
Do you know what that reminds me of so much?
Quantum Leap?
Mm-hmm.
No. Reminds me so much of the not great Aston Kutcher movie, The Butterfly Effect.
Oh.
That's a not great movie, but that one, he had blackouts throughout his life, and that was actually him, spaces where he could travel back to and change events.
Yeah.
There was actually a really good one that was similar to Quantum Leap called Journeyman. Unfortunately, it got canceled after a season, but or maybe a couple seasons. But he would have these intense headaches, and then he'd disappear from our time and be transported back in time somewhere else to fix something, right? And eventually, they kind of figured out that it's almost like there was a force moving him. And when things were going wrong in this reality, in this timeline, because of his time jumps, something would happen along the way, along his jumping, that would help to fix that problem. And so it was a really cool, merging of modern time travel with going back in time and fixing something, or making sure something happened the way it's supposed to.
It's almost like you could view it another way, that it's almost like he had future sense. By projecting himself down a timeline, he could then come back to that point, change something, and do it again. That's often how people predict. It's view.
No. His
seeing the future.
His jumps
things.
would never actually directly, almost never directly interact with his regular, his regular life. It would be he'd have to go back and save somebody who was on a plane giving birth at the time, right? And then later on, he'd find out, that person went on to do X thing. But his family needed money, and so during one of his jumps, he ended up getting a bunch of money and bringing it back to the future. And then that caused a problem because he had these old bills now. But something else happened that then solved that problem. So it was an interesting show.
Very much so.
There's only really two shows that are the modern.
Anime.
Yeah. There's only two anime that realistically, to me, and that jump out to me, that do the modern day time travel shenanigans well.
Mm-hmm.
One of which, is Summertime Rendering. Summertime Rendering did it really, really, really
good
well.
looper.
Yeah, very interesting mechanic to the whole situation, and it's certainly a show that I would recommend people check out and things. It was only available on Disney Plus at the time. I don't know where it is now. Probably still only on Disney Plus, but it is certainly a worthwhile watch. The other one, and I know Nasuth and I argue the difference here. The one that I personally prefer is Steins Gate, right? Steins Gate to me is more slice of lifey, right? And more comical, and there's a more familial bond. Familiar for family based.
Yes, familial. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. There's a more familial bond between the characters and things like this, and I love that about it a lot more. Also, the chaotic factor of him not realizing how many timelines he's jumped until like the realization finally dawns on him, and it's just like, oh crap, I have to undo all of this. Oh god, what have I done? So again, it's Steins Gate is a really good. I really need to go watch the sequel, which is I think Steins Gate Beta or something like that.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, neither of these shows seem to have the classification of sci-fi attached to them.
That is interesting, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
So, in terms of, if we're actually going to keep this more on track of the thing,
space side,
I actually, I think the thing of treating space as a
character,
as a part of the show, or character or setting that's actually important. One that got it wrong for me, was Ava.
Okay.
Because the thing about this one is they put the angels on the moon.
No.
And
wait.
No,
what?
that's not right.
Is it not right?
No, it's not right.
The coffins then labelled all the numbers based on the angels that were on the moon.
That's just Kaoru.
Yeah, but okay, never mind. We'll get into him. He's particular. So no, many of the angel builds coming from elsewhere, coming from space, like the one that fell from the atmosphere, to catch.
Sure.
With their AT fields, and even the few shots in space they did, like with the giant spider leg things coming out from the Ava that then cover the world, and then Ray growing ginormous, the wings of light, and Ray going large enough to be partially in space. It was treated just as this, much like the Christian iconography. It was just treated as a visual thing. Mm-hmm. It was never actually addressed as a place to fear, or a place to respect, because that's where these other things came from. Even getting there, they had they launched the Lance of Longinus into the moon. Then somehow they got it back. No idea how.
But
they didn't really.
To some degree.
No, I thought it was orbiting the moon. I didn't think they actually hit the moon. I thought it was just orbiting the moon.
I'm fairly sure there was a shot of it embedded in the moon.
No.
It's been a while since I watched the original one, but
it doesn't really matter. But to some degree, I would argue that's fine because it fits in with the rest of the show. It's the artistic side of it. And I would even say to some degree, even something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, as much as that also leaned heavily on the realism, would do certain things just for the artistry of it.
See, that is exactly that. When you only use it as an artistic backdrop to what you're doing, then did it really need to be there? Does space lend anything to the setting?
Not gonna lie, I'm actually on board with what Thaylien's saying here. I kind of want to pivot back to one we mentioned earlier, which is Planet S. If I can readily
that one's
find
definitely
it.
steeped in personality and realism.
It's not just that, but one of the most biggest bugbears I have whenever it comes to Hollywood depictions of the moon is how close they put it.
How big
to
it
Earth.
is, yeah.
Yeah, it's just how
he's a long
massive.
way.
Right, and yes, there are instances where the moon perceptually looks closer, and that's down to the angle of the horizon and basically it's the phases of the orbit and things like that.
Well, yes, there's a little bit of perigee and apogee, and there are certain times when it's closer, like its closest approach is really, really close. But we're talking about a matter of like centimeters or feet or something. It's nothing huge.
Yes.
But it looks bigger when it's on the horizon, just because of perception. Like it's because you can see it in relation to other buildings.
The magnification through the atmosphere.
No, that is a lie. That is a lie. It's just the perception of it being closer to other things that the size of. If you put like your pinky up and block it out, it will be the same size there as it is up in the sky.
I'm not drinking tea right now.
Lol. But
anyway,
Hollywood makes it fucking massive.
Yeah, they do. But the thing that I love about Planet S is the fact that there's a scene there's an episode where one of the characters is on a lunar colony, right? He's hospitalized and he's interacting with a woman there, and they're talking and things. And as an observer of the show, you can tell there's something not 100% right with this woman, and you discover that she's not an adult. She is actually a child. She is 12 years old, and because she has lived on the moon her entire life, her bones, her muscles and everything have accelerated in growth and things.
It's the lighter gravity thing. Yes,
the lighter gravity has not impeded her growth at all. And as a result, she, a lot of anime fans have huge issues with this character, right? And it's just a case of like, well, just don't go in that wrong direction. Yeah. But I love the series for how true to reality it respects space.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that our characters, who are basically, the submariners,
Submariners, yes.
Of outer space, they have to go out and wear diapers, right? It's just like, well, where are you going to go to the toilet? It's just like, sorry, you got to deal with it.
It's either a catheter or a diaper.
Where they had to. There's another movie where they had to go under. They had to go underwater for a ways, and they wore pressure suits to go through an underwater entry to something. And
the Abyss?
One of them just said, "Well,
there's so many movies. Like you're describing so many movies."
And it's just the commentary was, "What do I have to pee?" And the guy leans in close, says, "Go down your leg." So you can go in these suits. So and they go, "Of course you can." The question is, do you want to?
Yeah, I think
the idea was they don't have a diaper, they don't have that, so yeah.
So there's a list of American films that could be. I think The Abyss has it. That could be The Sphere. I hate The Sphere.
I don't think it's The Sphere
so much.
The book is great, but they ruined the movie.
Yeah, no, it was a terrible movie, so I'm guessing it was The Sphere I'm thinking of.
Yeah, or and a much more recent one is it the Meg 2? Oh, fuck. God, that movie. So,
the Meg was bad enough.
Meg 2 is like, do we really need this?
Interesting concept with the Meg, at least, where they had that thermocline under the sea. Because we explore the undersea so little on this planet that,
Anyway.
I'm guessing it's probably one of the reasons why NASA wants to go to space so much, because they know what's down there.
Lol.
But going back to Ava, again, you're dealing with something that's it has the power to like rewrite reality. So I think they're less concerned with the realism of space there because it just doesn't apply. It is all artistic.
Yeah. And so I was highlighting that as a thing. It is all artistic, and so space doesn't mean anything to the show. And
but the
so
images
it's a great
do.
example of how not. I think they could have done the scale of it from the ground rather than from space, and shown the towering person over the towering over the atmosphere.
It's
on the ground quite as easily.
I think part of the problem is...
if God showed up right now, would, and he decided to be massively space-sized so that the entire planet could see him, would the physical constraints of reality apply? That's kind of the question you're asking when you're dealing with massive ray.
Where would most of the photos be?
Wait, what? I didn't make out what you said.
Where would the most of the photos be taken?
From the ground.
Yeah, but we're not...
would that detract from the massive size of it?
So hold on. From the imagery? Can I mediate here? I feel that both of you have really valid points here. I think that from a more human, realistic point of view, Thaylien has a strong point. But from the existential, breaking the boundaries, smashing the rules, Nasuth has a really good point, right? I think in reality, it would have been better suited had there been a mix of the two. But I think both of you have extremely valid points with regards to this specifically.
Yes, I'm actually with you on that one. If there'd been a balance of the two, because yes, the imagery was great, but it made it very detached. You couldn't really get the scale of that, because when have any of us, or more than like 100 people in the world, ever seen the Earth from that far away?
May I?
So, yeah.
So all pictures from space don't matter. Okay, cool.
No. Whoa. That's not what I said. It just gives you that detachment. You can't judge. It's like you said with the moon. You've got the moon on the horizon. You can see it in relation to things that you know the size of.
I think the big thing here is, how does gigantic ray impact other things that happen in reality? There's a brilliant example of this where down to earth, sorry, not reality, but down to earth. There's a brilliant example of this, and please bear with me when I say this. Pacific Rim, right? Ludicrously fun film, right? Giant robot punches, highly impractical. Giant robot, size of many buildings, punches into an office building, and its fist just taps an office chair, which starts a Newton's cradle, right? That gives a perspective of what that fist is like to something every day that you deal with. Yeah? That's the sort of scale.
But this is so far beyond... What is going on in the third impact is so far beyond everyday experience.
Yes.
I don't think there is a way to display that very well, other than to go out beyond our experience and see giant ray in space.
Yeah, that is a necessary part. I think that they should show that. But I think for perspective, they could have just as easily shown somebody looking up from the ground and seeing giant ray coloured blue by the sky, and looking on as the impact happens. Sorry, Xeno.
I think one thing that would have been nice as a short cutaway in the movies, not in the series, because let's face it, the series budget that ran out, didn't it? But in the movies, it would have been nice if giant, and I haven't seen this, maybe it is in there, maybe Nasuth can just go, what the fuck are you talking about? It is in there. When giant ray gets up, she passes through a tank, and the soldiers in the tank just die or turn into puddles of goo, right? You see her rising up from the perspective of soldiers or Navy seamen, right? And they are on an aircraft carrier that could be out in the Pacific Ocean. And, you can just see a giant ray just emerging from Japan, right? I think, again, all of these would add to a sense of scale, because in all honesty, I think she was the size of the entire country, right? But I can't really remember.
Bigger than that.
Was she? How big was she?
Oh, easily. I think her torso would have covered half of Asia.
She was really big. They do kind of do that in the movie. You get to see the Wunder, which you probably don't know about. Oh no, you should know about the Wunder. You get to see the Wunder basically in scale with her, and people on the ship reacting to, oh my god, that is an eyeball looking into the ship, sort of thing.
What is the
Oh,
Wunder?
yes.
I have no
The
idea
Wunder,
what the
the
Wunder is.
Wunder is the flying ship that they get in the third movie.
Yeah, I had no idea what the fuck happened between 2 and 3. I was so confused.
Yeah. Well, 3 was supposed to go a different way, and then they decided to do that instead. So, which is why we need yet another version of Ava to finally get the story.
No!
He's going to tell us in that one.
Oh my god. Right, okay.
I think we spent enough time on Ava. I think Thaylien and I kind of fundamentally disagree on the nature of the space in that one, and that's fine.
Where's my silly one?
I'd like to pivot.
Yes.
I'd like to say that for myself, at least, when it comes to sci-fi, it is so important that the science is respected with space. Anything space related. Like, if it's a case of it's time travel stuff, fuck it, I don't care. If it's power suit stuff, yeah, okay, whatever. Biology, sure. I'm a huge Guyver fan, what have you, right? Tekkaman Blade is silly. Bang Braven, also silly and dumb, right? But when it comes to space, I don't know what it is about it, but to me, at my core, it feels like it should be respected and not made dumb with, for example, Thalien's next suggestion, which I think was going to be Gurren Lagann.
No, it was my suggestion, actually.
Also,
that was Nasuth's one, yeah.
Sorry.
So Gurren Lagann, it made it silly. It definitely did. And in that space was just where to go to fight the anti-spiral. It wasn't even addressed as a
oh no, it's in T, isn't it?
Place to adventure in. They only had one objective, and they ignored everything else to get there.
Nasuth frantically looking for. There you go. I've done it for you.
Okay, I got to it. Yeah. I mean, in Gurren Lagann, you get to the point where they're literally throwing galaxies at each other and getting bigger than reality itself, and it's just like you can see them from on their home planet. You can see them from across the universe, but like, could you really see them? Would they really look like that from the surface of the planet? Gurren Lagann does not respect space at all. But
no, exactly.
But again, as with Ava, it's not. The story the thing that it's trying to tell uses that spectacle. It's not trying to be a hard sci-fi show where we lost the.
Can we just apologize for technical difficulties and then move on to the next show? I think that should be fine.
Yeah. Guess who's going to end up screwing up this time? It's not me.
Yeah, it's the in the UK right now we have freaking torrential storms up north, and as a result, like, my internet keeps on crapping out.
And no, that's not British slang for something to do with sex.
I think we basically.
Earth would you?
I think we basically made our point about Gurren Lagann, though, in that it's not trying to be hard sci-fi, and the points that it's making.
No, not in the slightest.
By using those crazy scenes is not meant to be taken, in a literal fashion per se. So, does anyone have one they want to pivot to next?
I do, but it's not on system. I couldn't see it anyway. But I think you should move your head more, just in general, so we know when you cut out. The show itself, I was thinking of was Kiddy Grade.
Kiddy Grade.
And
I've never watched that.
We don't have that on system. But the end of that show was literally they had a spaceship that they were going to put all the rich people on and leave system in. It was going to be this whole wait for them to escape and leave all the common people behind. And when it became the focus, it was able to transform into a giant robot.
Of course.
They had to stop this robot, and it was part of the whole setting. But one of the things they did was they showed it in relation to a planet to show how big it was, but they also showed it in relation to the smaller ships that were flying around it, and you even had a shot where you zoomed right on in and in again until you got to the actual chassis of the ship, and you can see the characters standing there, two characters standing there on one of the gantryways at the end. And the fact that they zoom in for so far, it's like zooming in on planet Earth from space, with Google Maps, or something like that. You zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in. What's that, Theo?
I have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, because I cut out again just when you were about to tell us what show we're talking
Grade.
about.
It's Kiddy Grade, which we don't have.
Right, okay. Don't we? Oh, no, I don't think we do.
No, we don't, because we've not really talked about it before. So the thing with that one, they do treat space in that as just basically it's like the freeway. You get on there, you cut to them arriving at the next place. But when they actually do space battles, they're dangerous because they're space battles, not just because of the other people trying to kill you, as it were. Space is a setting for this great big set piece at the end.
How many space battles do they have in Kiddy Grade? Because I'm gonna. I love Kiddy Grade.
Only about
I honestly,
3.
They don't have.
Only about 3.
Them.
And so it's literally ones where they've where they're facing off against other operators, basically. People from their own side that have, for some reason, arrayed against them.
Oh, isn't it like right at the end?
Yeah, there's the big one right at the end, but there's a couple before that where they show off what the ship can do, in its base state.
Yeah, if anyone's this is a bit of a daft comparison, but if you've ever played the point and click adventure game Full Throttle, where you actually have the mini game of the motorcycle fights on the freeway, that's basically how Kiddy Grade operates its space battles. It's just like, just smacking each other until one of you goes down. Like the what's the Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Although I did like the intro in the very first episode, where they are boarding another ship, and they've got over there by using their little smaller mech that puts up a little atmosphere shield for them, fly on over, and they actually knock on the door.
Yeah. I vaguely remember this.
It was silly, but at the same time, it did treat this whole thing of, what are they doing out there? How is somebody knocking on the door of our ship? There's space out there. And it was an introduction to them.
I think, again, it's really important that, just like we were talking about it last episode, like, the cities and things like this, like, locations for battles. And I think it's really important that no matter where you are, you have to realistically show the proper world setting, because the problem with Kiddy Grade is they were supposed to be planets apart, like the whole conflict, the whole interstellar war basically that breaks out, but it all feels like this is just one continent on one island on one planet. It's like there is nothing that truly differentiates all these different locations and things. And I kind of want to pivot slightly to a show that has the same energy as Kiddy Grade, but in and of itself, respects it a lot more, which is, if he can pull it up, is it Ad Astra, I think it's called? I did hit the button. Yeah, sorry, Astra Lost in Space.
Okay.
The whole concept of this show is effectively you got these kids, they're all going to space camp effectively, they arrive on a planet and things like this, but all of a sudden things go wrong, and like a weird singularity in space forms right next to them and just sucks them out. So it just sucks them out into space, and they are left adrift, just floating there until they spot a spaceship that's, you know, in just, I don't think it's in geosynchronous orbit. It's just left there waiting for them and things like this. And the plot behind it is actually a pretty cool series, and I do highly recommend people go check it out and things. But one of the first challenges they have to deal with is the fact that they've got to get to this ship while they have none of the equipment to do it. Right? They've got no jetpacks or anything to help them navigate, gravityless space. Zero G. Thank you.
Fall.
God,
yes.
that was fair.
Nothing to help them navigate vacuum, which is requires some form of thrust or momentum.
Exactly, and at one point in time, there's one of them that, you know, is stuck. She cannot get to the ship at all, and then the whole group of complete strangers come together to rescue her. Right?
Okay.
And it's a really interesting series. I do strongly recommend it. I think it's only like 11 episodes. It is totally worth checking out. Yeah. Go watch it. Astra Lost in Space.
Nice. So that, as in that whole setting is in space, and it's very important because of it being something to overcome. I could see a similar scene in some way playing out if it was set in the ocean and they had all fallen overboard, their ship had sunk or something, and there's another ship they had to get to. Yes, they would have to swim for it, but they'd be swimming against currents or similar.
Yeah.
And so there would be similar difficulties and just as big of a big of a problem if they didn't overcome it.
They're trying to work out where the hell they are, because all of a sudden they were on planet X and now they're all of a sudden somewhere else entirely. And they're trying to work it out, and they go to different foreign worlds. Their first problem, finding a food source. They've got to find something to be able to eat. Then it's a case of getting the ship to move, so on and so forth. It's honestly, it's a really good series, and it properly explores all the stuff about space, all the stuff that I truly respect about it. Nasuth, you seem to be poised and eyeing up something.
But I mean, only a little bit. Only a little bit.
Only a little bit.
It's sort of a sillier one, because we were talking about, you know, we've been treating space kind of like an entity, a known, you know, like almost a character in and of itself. And Undead Unluck kind of literally does that.
Oh, yeah.
Where originally they don't have space; it's just the Earth and the Moon and the Sun. And then suddenly,
don't they even
spoilers.
Don't even make a thing of it.
Yeah, spoilers. Galaxy gets released, and because Fuko draws sparkly lights around the moon, and the other girl asks her, "Why did you do that?" And she said, "Well, because it looks so lonely up there."
Just kind of seems right.
Yeah, because it doesn't have any. There are no stars in the world at that point. But then the UMA Galaxy gets released, and suddenly there's space everywhere. There's galaxies. There's different star systems, to the point that they actually get invaded by aliens instantly.
Yep. Because the galaxy now exists, therefore aliens exist. Therefore, they would notice that we are there now and come to conquer us.
Yeah, and sure, it's silly. You know, it doesn't respect real science in any way. It kind of respects its own science, though, you could say. And the space literally does matter, because now they can get invaded by aliens. Now, when God shows up to destroy everything, there will be other places around to still exist.
In theory, yes.
Oddly enough, weirdly enough, you bringing this up has actually made me pivot
Think of something
my
else?
thought process entirely. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's sort of along the same lines of the disrespect sort of thing. So one thing that I find a lot of these shows do, including Undead Unluck, it uses space as just a milestone, right? It's just, Gurren Lagann, I was about to say Tenchi Top and Gurren Lagann, does the same thing. It uses it as a stepping stone for its narrative, right?
We've sure. Yeah. Now that we've conquered our local system, there's a bigger threat from further beyond.
But even so, it's a case of with One Punch Man, aliens arrive, and Saitama has to deal with them, right? It's that's fine. But the thing that I actually take great insult to is, oh look, he's throwing shade at Western production again. Is the way that Marvel has done anything to do with space, right? Weirdly enough, all the metahumans or the superheroes and all that sort of stuff on Earth have they have crazy abilities. They have all unique personalities. They're all individuals, right? Mm-hmm. They have so much effort put into them. But any of the races, any of the alien races that are in the Marvel comics specifically, they're all blank stormtroopers, right? They're identical to each other. There's apparently in the Marvel space, it's all super conformity. It's just
It's actually, I didn't.
That's not entirely
Mass
true.
Effect tried to explain that. So that was.
Yeah.
Did you not play through Mass Effect?
Never played Mass Effect.
Oh, do. It's actually a really good series. Still,
I will let you have your opinion and remain ignorant.
So the bit that they did was during, I think it was the second game, they went to a place where there was research being done in a medical bay, and the doctor you have with you is a genius. And he actually said, humans really good test subjects for different types of medication, because they have far more biodiversity among their race than any of the other species in that galaxy. So it's not that everyone looks the same, so much that the biodiversity is, very much less than they have on Earth. And I think that's the same logic they apply in Marvel. Okay. Rather than they're all... The differences they see, I think it's just they're supposed to all look similar because it's easier, because it's, they're not as diverse as humanity is.
Regardless of look, it's also just their presence, their what they do, right? It's like, this is the city of this is the planet of the Shi'ar Empire. We are all the same. There's no culturally diverse music. There's no culturally diverse religions. There's no culturally diverse food. There's no culturally diverse anything. We are all
a lot of
the
that
same.
Comes down to how much time do they have to show you any of that.
Yeah, well, I think it's
Star Trek,
down to how much effort you're
see any of that until the reunification episodes. It was based before then. All Romulans were essentially the same.
Right, but in the Romulan Empire, right, they were all oppressed and things like this. But Klingons had a lot of diversity, right?
Yes.
The Cardassians were similar to the Romulans. I imagine
Not
they
the
had
American
a lot more...
ones with the big asses, the race in Star Trek.
What?
Kardashians.
The Kardashians.
Oh my god, Thaylien. Right. So again, going back to the Cardassians, I don't remember a great deal, a lot of them, because a lot of that was explored in DS9, right? But the whole point is that there was a lot more to the races in Star Trek than any of Marvel.
Yeah.
Right? And that's like...
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Here's just a devil's advocate question. How would you see humanity from the outside if all you saw was the US Army moving into something?
Yeah, that's my point. You didn't see a lot of the diversity until they started having more episodes with these races. You know, Klingons at first weren't that diverse, but then we started having more and more episodes with them, and we started seeing more and more diversity among them as a result. You know, if you're... Yep. And now, to be fair, Marvel has been around for a long-ass time, and, you know, the Krull and the Shi'ar Empire are not exactly new ideas. So, if they're still not showing diversity among those groups, that's a problem.
Which I don't know. I've not been keeping up.
Exactly. But if it's only a case of, we've only seen the capital city a few times, you know, I'm willing to cut them a little slack.
Yeah, but even so, like, if you were to take a look at Coruscant with Star Wars, right? You know, in the first three, in the prequel trilogy, right? They showed so much of Coruscant. It's just like, it's not just the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. It's just like, you know, show us anything else, but.
That's true. I think if they had something in the Marvel comics to actually do exactly that kind of thing, you know, go into the underbelly of the Shi'ar Empire, the way that Obi-Wan and Anakin did on Coruscant, to go down into the criminal area. That might have had that same kind of thing. They had that opportunity. I don't think they did that in the Marvel.
How much? Just hovering over.
How much do we know about the is it the Geminar Empire?
Jirai
Empire.
Though you have a really valid point, we don't really spend any time on Jirai.
It's that same problem.
In fact,
this is for the original Tenchi Muyo.
Well, I'd even say OVA. So Ryo-Ohki's 1, 2, and 3. Right? I've not seen 4 or 5. Yes, there is 5. But I don't remember. I think the only time we see anything to do with Jirai is Sasami's flashback. Oh, and is it Yosho's or Ayaka's? You know, there's barely any time spent on Jirai at all.
Yeah, so it's that same problem as mentioned.
We don't talk about Tenchi in space.
Tenchi in space?
Did you not know that was a series?
Is that the one with like the young Tenchi offspring, Tenchi GX or whatever it is?
Yeah. Oh, okay. GXB.
You probably don't talk about that at all.
I've never seen it. I have seen The War on Geminar, which is supposed to be based on his baby cousin, and that was brilliant. I loved it.
Trying to think of a show that does what Zeno mentioned with Marvel specifically, where they, you know, you've seen it more than once or more than a couple times, and it still doesn't have much fleshing out, and I'm struggling, man.
Well, the only thing I can think of, right, is Darling in the Franxx with the alien race, but you see them like
that's them attacking Earth, isn't it?
Well, there's two. There's one where they attack Earth, and then there's one where Zero-2 attacks them. But it's just, but it's still the same point. It's still the same point, though. It's just like we barely see them at all.
Yeah,
exactly, right? Unlike fucking Gundam, where you have all the history of both sides. You get both sides of the story, and it's so well thought out.
Or even Kill la Kill.
Yeah, even a Kill la Kill. Like they all like the most intriguing narratives is where it's told from both sides.
Yes, because you've got to have that thing of fleshed out opponents, no matter which side they're on. The protagonist or the antagonist needs to be. Oh, what do you got?
To drag it back to more realism, yet still somehow based in fantasy, we've got the Irina vampire.
Irina.
Cosmonaut. Yeah. Because
nice.
In this one, they're specifically using vampires because they're hardier, because they don't need...
no.
Yeah?
So the reason why they're using vampires is, unfortunately...
Well, it's partly racism.
I was going to say an ism we shouldn't be saying for you two, but go ahead, Nasuth.
I will.
Otherism.
I will give you one thing.
Yeah.
Like we spend so much time with
the testing
Irina.
and
I swear her name is something different in Japanese. I swear it. But the thing is, we know nothing of her or other vampires or where they came from or anything, and it drives me mad. Right? I
think they've just always existed. I mean, we see some flashbacks of like her family and stuff, but
we see one. We see one flashback.
Is it just the one? Okay.
Of the town, and that's it, and it drives me spare.
I think it's just a case of they've always existed. But you know, in terms of them, of like how they realistically portray space and stuff, I would say they do a pretty good job of it.
They do a bang-up job of this. So, just to explain the narrative of Irina, Vampire Cosmonaut, the idea is that this is at the peak of not Russia and not America fighting for
the
space race, right? But the problem is that the Russian space program, the not Russian space program is really far behind, and they can send up animals and things, but they can't get them back. So how do they address it? They can't just keep on sending up cosmonauts because they are really hard to train, they're really hard to find, and they'll end up losing.
Even harder to find once they get up there.
Well, no, that's not so much of a problem. It's harder to get down once they're up there. And the whole idea is that they need to be able to send something expendable that's more than just a dog or a monkey that can help with re-entry. And that's close to human. So, because they do not see vampires as anything more than an animal, it doesn't count when a vampire is the first thing that goes into space.
Exactly.
Because it's not human, hence the ism that Nasuth was talking about. And you know, when it lets them get ready faster and things like that. So it's a really, really good series. I strongly recommend it. But again, like, you know, there's this big,
and space is treated as an actual, like, you know, force to be reckoned with. Yeah.
No, it's a goal. It's not just a stepping stone. It's an actual proper goal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If aliens arrived and they had some kind of planetary scanner that could detect, you know, life forms and things, what would you do if they proved that vampires, werewolves, and other things were real because they could find them with their scanner, even though we couldn't with our technology?
Give them a hug.
You think so?
Give me a kiss.
Or they were the bad kind.
Terrible person.
Yeah, terrible person. Well, unless I would agree with you completely if there's a corgi werewolf. It's a weird corgi.
Nice.
Adorable and terrifying.
Yep.
So, where do we want to go from here? What other? I mean, okay. One where we have that definitely features space as a setting for its show, as well as planets, is Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Eden Zero.
Well,
also, on a minor tangent, because Nasuth brought up Eden Zero, I realized that's actually the true Star Wars of anime.
Yes, it is.
Not Outlaw Star.
Okay.
I thought I saw it earlier, and I was just like, shit, I should have said Eden Zero, not Outlaw Star.
But Cowboy Bebop is it's a solar system, so it's just a planet, and it's connected by the space lanes. But they do have multiple episodes centered around the life in space, where you've got trying to infiltrate and then get out of basically a squatter camp in space, places that are where they pick up what's her name, Faye. When she's stranded in space and she fully expects a rescue. She runs out of fuel, and she can do that because she can just signal for help, and somebody will be passing by that she can hitch a ride with. You know, she fully expects that. There's a whole floating casino in space that they go to as part of the plot, and even have a meeting on the hull to exchange the stolen chip. Where that's the fact that they're in space and can throw the chip through the air, well, through the vacuum to reach the other side, actually plays a role into Spike's plan for surviving the encounter, because he's then able to.
The really interesting thing about everything you're saying with Cowboy Bebop is that it doesn't feel. It feels a bit like space is a joke with Cowboy Bebop.
Almost like it's domesticated.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, because they don't have the threat of, well, what happens if my ship has a puncture or anything like that. They don't wear any special suits at any point in time.
They
right?
do.
Well, apart from when
they're actually out spacewalking, they do. But
yeah.
In general, it's not.
They don't.
Yeah, not
right?
in the ships.
Which is, to me...
And we're looking at on screen is a shot of them looking up through the glass ceiling of a space casino.
Yeah. And to me, it's just like... It's quite shocking.
They ain't scared of space.
Space be scared of them. No, but you get my point, though. And because of that, because of the domestication, it makes it feel trivial, right? Which makes it not have as much of an impact.
But I would say the same is kind of true in Star Trek. Space is basically trivial for them. You know, sure, they do occasionally have to worry about explosive decompression, but generally speaking, it's not an issue. They have force fields to even prevent that in a lot of cases. You know, space is just water to them.
But the thing is, like, you've hit the nail on the head there, Nasuth, because they have precautions, right? What precautions do they have with Cowboy Bebop? There's just a piece of glass between Spike and the vacuum of space just then.
You
don't know. You don't know they don't have force fields.
Right.
Well, I'd say they have, based on one of the other episodes, I think they definitely have shutters that will clamp down over them if there is a rupture. But I think they have that confidence that they've created materials that are proof against the average kind of things that we would be worried about.
Yeah.
You know, in space. What we are now at the stage where we would have protective, where the only glass we would have on a spaceship would be multiple inches thick tempered glass that's impact resistant and set into a very small window frame so that it has very little chance of ever shattering from impact.
Remember that it's easier to keep an atmosphere in something than to keep like the only reason we don't have massive glass structures underwater is because it's harder to keep pressure out of something
than it is in. Yep.
Okay. I was wondering what the hell you were talking about then, but yes, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah. So so things like small asteroid impacts, and they probably have the safety systems for when, if there's going to be, say, a ship careening at them and it's going to impact into the glass, then that's evacuation territory anyway, and it wouldn't matter if it was glass or metal or what. You know, a ship's going to come in through the wall regardless. So I think that everyday nature of it is kind of a fascinating take on space. Sorry about the noise.
I have a completely different direction I want to go in.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's go.
Right. And that is, I've recently heard it's pronounced blam, but I always call it blame, right? Because there's an E on the end. And the reason why I bring this up to do with space is that for anyone that doesn't know the narrative, effectively humanity has been kind of pseudo wiped out is on the verge of extinction because humanity had an AI effectively build them a city, right? But it never stopped. And it's still building, right?
Sort of like Grey Goo, but on a macro scale.
Kind of, yeah. But the important side of this is that it's no longer building the city for humans. It is just building for the sake of building, effectively. And
humans are almost in the way.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be fair, they have machines that are used to exterminate humans, right? Because they are seen as pests, right? And it is really interesting seeing this polar opposite direction where what was once our home has now become a hostile space for us to live in, and we are effectively mice trying to scurry around the edges of rooms and, you know, to survive in such a hostile environment. That I think this is is this a movie? I think it's a movie. Maybe it says that.
Yeah. I think it's a movie, but because of it's only a movie, they didn't get through the source material very well.
Yeah. So came out in 2017, and it's gorgeous. It's fantastic. It's a really interesting narrative. I know that the mangaka behind it came from a architecture background, which is why the world looks so incredible. You can't really draw people though. So, but it's still impressive to see. You know, we have on the screen right now, if you're watching, you know, spacesuits effectively for the humans to be rummaging around on the ground, and they use their suits to protect themselves from the nasties that go bump in the night. I think the atmosphere is, you know, certainly sustainable for humans, but it's a case of they need all the other tech to keep them safe, to hide from the machines. And it's absolutely incredible.
Is that, I mean, essentially that's how space gets used a lot, is as a hostile environment. Like the most hostile environment.
And I think the other side of it, though, and this is why there's such a easy comparison between the two, is that even though space is used, or outer space is used as a hostile environment, it's also so neutral, right? It doesn't pick and choose. Indifferent. Yeah. And that's again what works so well with Blam, is the fact that the AI doesn't differentiate between, you know, any human or any culture or any society or anything like that. It just sees pest. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like the way, because when you say he came from an architectural background, that would definitely explain things that the AI has created.
Yeah.
Because the spaces just seem to conform to what it needs. So they are very, very busy where it's mechanical and power lines. But where it's just structural, it's brutalist and vast open spaces that can have good sight lines for its robots to see down, and very little places for humans to hide. So he does show that he understands what he's doing when it comes to trying to make something that's completely indifferent to humans, unless it's trying to kill them.
Yeah.
You know, we were kind of talking about space as tamed which I think was your point in showing, an area that's very untamed.
Hmm.
Another one that kind of shows sort of how when we think space is tamed, it can still be dangerous is Orbital Children, where
I forgot about this.
Literally, yeah. Well, this is not exactly the easiest to tell thumbnail that we have.
Well, it is, yes.
But essentially, it's these kids are in space because it's so tame. They can go up there for a field trip essentially. But then something goes wrong, and now they're cut off, and now they're alone, and they have to survive until they can get rescued and that sort of thing. And is there somebody there that's like dangerous too? I can't remember. I think it's just them trying to survive.
Are you saying there's someone among us?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's a case of you think you've got it tamed, but you really don't, and it can still be dangerous if you're not careful. And I like that idea. I like that as a concept. People forget that even now. You're driving in your let's say your car has a couple of issues, but you want to go on a trip, and you don't care that the trip is 300 miles. You just want to go. And you don't think about it because your car gets around the town well enough. You may have to restart it a couple of times here and there, but it goes just fine. But on a 300-mile trip, where you're putting more stress on it, and you're not, you're often between towns, that's a much more dangerous situation to have a breakdown in.
Is this some American car thing that I'm too UK and European public transport to understand?
Yes.
It's fair enough. I
don't know how many kilometers 300 miles is. It's a lot.
Actually, it's pretty close to 450 if I'm thinking about it.
I think so, yeah.
No? 300... Sorry, did you say 300 kilometers in miles?
300 miles, 2 kilometers.
Oh, it'd probably be about 5.1. Damn it, 482.
There you go.
Smack between us.
Split the difference. Yeah, but yeah, it's that sort of idea where an environment you think is familiar can become much more dangerous when something goes wrong.
No, okay, another one is I think we'll stick with the America analogies here. It's when you're going around outside and you suddenly remember that there are in fact black bears in your area because you see one just walking around the corner of somebody else's house. And
the black bears, generally speaking, aren't too bad. It's the brown bears and the grizzlies you got to watch out for.
Yeah, that's very true. It is true. But even then, you startle a bear, and even if it's going to run away, it could take your leg with it. Just from a casual swipe.
They're still dangerous. You still don't want to mess with them.
Yeah. Or a Canadian going outside and finding a moose in their garden and realizing, well, that's his garden now. Okay, I will just go out the front door.
I think another series that I'm gonna be honest does space wrong is Terra for Mars. That's Terra for Mars Revenge, season 2. I meant
Close
season
enough.
1. Yes, yeah. I think it's just gonna pick regardless. The whole reason why I say this is because the whole premise is effectively there's this really super nasty disease that has hit Earth and people are dying really fast. And they need to find the origin of said disease. And the origin seems to be Mars. Well, the problem is that they tried to terraform Mars using effectively...
mutants.
Yes, thank you, Nasuth. That's a good way of putting it. Mutants or mutated super cockroaches to do all the work and everything. But for some strange reason, the cockroaches have rebelled, so on and so forth. So Earth basically has to send...
Good heavens.
Huh?
Oh, good heavens! If it isn't the consequences of their actions.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Cockroaches was just never as popular a show.
Yeah. So humanity ends up sending its own, like all the different nations of the world basically send together a group of humans who are mutants themselves or mutated genetically to survive, because Mars hasn't been fully terraformed, and thus, we have to send terraformed humans or something. And what they do is they basically turn people into
what am I watching right now?
None. Shut up.
Okay.
And you have someone that's part cheetah and thus can run really fast. You have someone that's part raccoon and they can discourage, and like they did this, and as a result it feels like okay, but you haven't really handled the whole fighting on an alien world that well. That's a large part of the problem. It's just okay, you got mutant people fighting mutant people. This could be like Dragon Ball Z, where it's just let's find a desolate place to fight.
Exactly. This could have been Earth on a wasteland, and wouldn't really changed it.
The fact the only way space plays into it is that they're moderately like disconnected from Earth, like they can't get immediate backup. Essentially, is that basically all it plays into it?
Yeah.
Well, not even that.
Do you think it would have raised the tension a bit if it had been on Earth and this was like a encroaching, not quite army, but they couldn't actually get rid of them, an infestation almost.
Well, like
as they gain sentience.
Part of the problem is the fact that in this, it's like the whole 2 seasons or 2 cores, right? It spans like a couple of days, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is your standard shonen show where like was Tenjo Tenge did the exact same thing, where like the bulk of the season just covered like an hour, and it because it's so slow, it's like you're doing absolutely nothing with the space or anything. Like this guy's part crab, the humans mixed with a crab to fight, but anyway. Yeah, so it's just like it does not. It could just be they found a mysterious island out in the Atlantic, and it's full of super dead. Like, one thing I never fucking understood about the entire series is how the fuck did the disease get from Mars to Earth?
Exactly.
It's like it may have been explained, but in the most briefest passing by possible, because I fucking missed it if it was.
Yeah. Hand wave the how, it just is.
Yeah, it just is.
I'm amazed though, because does America exist on this thing as a country? So why was he a crab instead of a pistol shrimp?
So on that note, I think we should start wrapping up.
Yeah, I was going to say
unless you have any other ones you want to get out of the way.
Just mostly the summary, because space, fantastic setting. It's got all these interesting places that you have to these rules, the respect you have to give it, and so many shows just treat it as like going on a highway.
Yeah,
you get on, cut to arriving at the next planet or whatever, and that's it. A couple of space battles, and the space battles, it only comes in as an additional thing if maybe there's a hull rupture or something. Too many things to actually treat it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is some of the very best shows out there. Really show, they highlight the difference between the planetary people and the people in space, and how their cultures and how their politics and how their lives differ by being in this completely different environment, and how they have to treat it. Your Gundams, your Cowboy Bebop is I think because we have domesticated space, and so they treat it very differently to how we would treat it now.
Yeah,
but they have, you know, their hyperspace ways. They've got them commercialized. So you fly in and there's like adverts all around it, and and places advertising docking on the planet.
It's like going along an interstate in America as opposed a major shipping lane, as opposed to a side road or something. Yeah.
But then again, they still have those moments where being in space changes how they act and how they behave and how they move. Even when they actually are out in space, they're more casual about it, but they have that respect for space being, easy to get lost in if you don't have the domesticated ways.
I think another way of looking at it is also you have to realistically treat if you can turn to your production, your medium, and say there is no difference between the events of this happening out in space versus from one planet to another, you need to go back and you need to spend more time world building. You need to spend more time describing the environments. Why is it so important and things like this? Maybe it's a simple case of, again, in Terra for Mars, the human... So when they haven't mutated themselves, because again, they can turn it on and off like zoonoids. If they're still in a human form, maybe they're struggling to breathe. Right? Or, maybe...
have protective gear or something.
Maybe their muscles are burning or what have you. But it just feels like, this could just be somewhere on Earth. Why is it important that it's on Mars? Right? Especially considering it's a blue sky. Right? Maybe make it a bit more red.
Possibly.
But I think that you shouldn't treat it like a freeway or a highway or a motorway. You should just like...
You can treat parts of it that way, but not all of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, cinematically, you do have to have cuts and things to make some scenes flow better, and you can cut out the traveling quite a bit. But many of the best movies out there and best series out there make the traveling as important as the destination as well.
Yeah.
So without that, space is just somewhere between where the important things happen, and I think that needs to be addressed a little bit in some shows.
In a lot of series. And I'd also say that, on a minor tangent, a good sci-fi doesn't need to have a space setting.
Sure.
But I am feeling, though, we need to start breaking sci-fi down into a lot more parts, because like there are so many shows that have the sci-fi tag, and it's just like, where's the sci-fi in this at all? Right? I don't know at all where the sci-fi is.
Some shows you would think would be in there. Like, I didn't see Eyes of Mars at all in that list, and that
Pretty
one.
Sure Eyes of Mars is in that list.
I didn't see it.
Isn't it the Red Planet?
Oh, right. Yes. For some reason, I thought that was something else. Oh, well. Okay.
Well.
Fair enough.
Well, Steins Gate and Summertime Rendering weren't in the list.
Yep.
Right?
That's true.
But for some strange reason, Future Diaries is. And like...
So that's Pokemon.
Like... Yeah. Anyway.
Pokemon definitely isn't sci-fi.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's our conclusion then. Space is good, but you need to make sure you actually understand space.
And you need to respect.
Absolutely.
You respect space.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on?
Respect space, like Nasuth's hand detection respects his microphone.
Right. Moving on to the supporter questions. So, first of all, the supporter questions. Zrugol asks, how long does it take to render an episode of Kanpai Cast?
What is it like? Well, it depends on the length, right? But it's usually about the same amount plus half for me.
No.
So I guess for you,
not
it's
for
probably
me.
less than that.
Yeah, it's typically about 90% of the show's duration.
Wow.
'Cause- Yeah, well, that's why you asked me to render it. It's because I can render it so much faster than you,
Yeah, it's
and I can
crazy.
render it while I'm asleep, while you're still working. You know, how long does it take you to forget an episode of Kanpai Cast? Done.
A minute after.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the nature of
long's it-
podcasts.
How long does it take to start recording the next section, like for the news? Yeah, exactly. It's about that. How long does it take to go and make another cup of tea?
Not that long.
Although I think I have a better memory for it than Xeno does. Mostly because
that's
I
the
can
TikTok
consistently
brain.
remember to. I can consistently remember to bring up K Project every episode and just to
I
annoy
hate
you.
you so much. So you'll also notice that my camera so gradually changes. They've changed the software, so it's no longer I can hit auto expose and then it renormalizes the thing. I have to do it all by hand now. It really drives me up the wall.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, exactly. Boo. Carbon asks, how long do you repeat an episode of Kanpai Cast?
How long before
you repeat? We try not to at all.
Mm.
But
we kind of did a little more early on, but then we dropped that pretty quickly.
yeah, we try to monitor what we do. It's very hard. And that's why we ask for suggestions of topics
Absolutely.
in the Discord, in the Kanpai Cast
Which you can
Discord.
submit by going to the Discord, and the link's in the description below.
Yeah. The Riku 7 clone that drinks coffee, I think that's coffee, it could be tea, asks how long before there are more episodes of Kanpai Cast than your favorite anime. Already there.
Yeah.
Swear, somebody asked how long does it take you to fix Nasuth's mistakes in an episode of Kanpai Cast, but maybe I'm hallucinating that.
Nasuth, how long does it take you to fix the mistakes that you put in Kanpai Cast?
No, how long does it take you to
Better
fix
question.
Nasuth's mistakes?
To be fair, he's gotten really good at it recently, so we put a
Better
to-do list
question.
together.
Do we bother fixing Nasuth's mistakes in Kanpai Cast?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've done it numerous times.
And before there were more
then we found
episodes
out-
in your favorite anime.
How many
Probably-
times have we cut out me interrupting you?
Never.
Oh my god.
Good. It's funnier that
Yeah, there are definitely already more episodes of Kanpai Cast than my favorite anime, so that's fine.
What is your favorite anime?
Oh gosh, I'd probably have to sit down and think about, really think about that. But whatever it is, it almost certainly doesn't have 150 episodes.
Fair. Right. Okay, so let's move on to the comments from last week. So first of all, we have the news, and I will fully admit I have no idea what was discussed in the news because I'm on there.
Yeah. TikTok.
Right. Zrugel says, wow, that PlayStation 5 Pro story was pretty crazy. I appreciate the context that Thaylien added to it.
So we're talking about the new price, like the fact that they were releasing the Pro, the features it had, the fact that the hard drive doesn't come standard, even though the story made it sound like it
Disk drive.
did. Yeah.
Wow.
And the stand doesn't even come with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that if the $700 is after tax, we could literally pay Nasuth to go buy a PS5 Pro in America and ship it to us and still get it cheaper than buying it here.
Yeah.
Oh, hell's yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Zrugel also says, oh, I'd love to go to that Ghibli exhibit. That's so cool.
Yes.
It
So,
was very cool.
Zrugel also says, poo, Zrugel is disappointed My Dress Up Darling Season 2 is just a rumor. My Dress Up Darling Season 2 isn't the rumor. The rumor was that it was starting production straight after The Elusive Samurai.
Yeah.
It's not. There is supposedly a second season.
Yeah,
We
back
just
on
don't know
Amazon's
when
gonna
it's.
start.
Yeah, we just don't know when they're starting
When-
the production.
I don't know if we know which studio is doing it. It's just been greenlit.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, indeed.
Currently
All
still
right.
in production hell.
yep. So, comments now from the cast. Thaylien says, I embody my true identity. I am a problem. That's not wrong.
Yeah, it appeared right here. It told people right here, and said,
"You're a problem."
Yep.
Cool.
It gave my account name here, and then just a problem over here.
Yeah.
Right. Zrugla says, I was finally going to watch Cowboy Bebop movie recently, as it was on YouTube Movies, but they cycled it from the watch with ads section back into the paid section. I'll see it someday.
Someday.
There's always the high seas.
Yar har fiddle-dee-dee. Yep. I agree that battle scenes can tell a lot about a fight and setting and shouldn't be overlooked. Having said that, I think most fight scenes take place in a wasteland because the animators don't want to involve bystanders. I don't think that's a bad thing. The fight and the action are what's important. Narratively, that's what's going on.
Yeah, but also seeing how they deal with that sort of stuff. Like, Chainsaw Man doesn't shy away from doing it in urban environments.
With bystanders.
So seeing how they handle that sort of thing can also tell you something about the character.
Yeah. So your interesting environment doesn't have to involve bystanders. It can just be an interesting environment that changes how the fight flows, which can be important.
I'll be the first of the people to toast the show's catchphrase, but this really is one of those times when it's fine if it's done right.
Isn't it always?
Yep.
We try not to say it this week, but it does still apply.
Yeah, it does. It does still apply. So, but anyway, let's move on to the best part of the entire show, which is the memes.
The memes. Yeah, we were a little short on. I didn't see any from Trauma Shell this week. That was a little sad. Yeah. Hope he's doing all right.
We miss you.
But yes, memes. This is everyone's favorite part. We get on basically all of our memes from Reddit, basically. And we also collect up to 6 memes from you, the viewer, which you can submit in the Discord. Links in the description below. I'm going to keep saying that. And this week we've only got 4, but we don't see them ahead of time. Somebody kindly collects them up for us, and we get to see them live on screen and react to them as they appear. So,
our reactions are a real-time situation scenario.
Oh, also, all the memes are linked in the description below. We archived them because Reddit likes to delete them. So let's move on.
Funny enough, I think one of my memes was literally already deleted by the time I went back to double check its location.
Oh my god. Right. So, first viewer meme.
Oh my god. Manga, anime, Netflix adaptation.
That is
To be
beautiful.
fair, those do look like some good chips.
Yeah.
Close
Yeah.
Go on.
Close your eyes, 80%.
Oh, it's one of these images.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. I like these. I like these images.
I don't get it.
So, Zeno, if you kind of close your eyes and lean back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And fucking, wow, that's fucking impressive.
Yep.
So is that Sasuke?
That's one of them.
It's his older brother. It's Tenchi.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine drawing this for a
week.
And people who read it for 5 seconds and move on. Yeah.
Yeah. They hung on that scene in the anime specifically because of that.
I have a plan. No murder. I don't have a plan.
He's not wrong. That's a very good description.
Yep.
Right. And now on to my memes, one of which is going to make Zeno very angry.
Probably.
Right. Me, I want the best companions. The companions I get.
That's
sees a kid Naruto running. Me, damn, you watch Naruto? Them, no, we saw it on TikTok. Me, shall I kill these children?
Yes. Yes.
White hair to
Nice.
twin tail style, extremely old, has a staff that has a crescent moon design with a red orb in the middle. Backstory involves a dead loved one. This is Farron. After 10,000 years of that mimic, I'm free!
Yep.
Anime is true art because it addresses universal questions. Why must you sleep on my laptop of all places?
Yep.
I think this is the one that's going to make you angry. Yep. Yep.
Fuck off.
Wow.
You have genuinely angered me!
Yep.
Egg on beans on pizza base. I think I have now got a new thing to torment other people with.
That's disgusting.
I must cook this immediately.
That's the most disgusting
No,
thing. You're gonna.
Damn it!
You are
I
going
used the
to
last of my-
shit for a week.
I literally used the last of my eggs this morning, so I can't do that tonight.
Just do it without the eggs. I'm sure it tastes just as good.
No, I don't think you understand it. The eggs are essential.
Uh huh.
Because it's beans and eggs on toast.
Exactly.
This is fusion cuisine.
Wait, who puts beans and eggs on toast?
Who doesn't?
I do.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I put cheese in the beans as well and melt it in, which is
Oh,
great.
that's fucking gross.
You're weird, Xeno.
Cheesy beans on toast with egg and bacon.
Anything with baked beans is gross, Nasuth. Anything.
To be fair, baked beans
Like,
aren't my favorite
I understand.
anymore.
I would
prefer-
I would happily have that pizza without the beans, right? It's just the beans that ruin it.
I prefer refried beans.
Moving
Anyway, my final meme. The stand user could be anyone.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the stand user,
Yep.
Yeah.
impressive.
All right, on to Thaylien.
When someone tells you to guess what, and they actually expect you to guess,
I hate that. I hate that shit so much. Oh, never do that to me. Right.
I do it to you all the time.
the McDonald's Genshin Impact collab has launched. Burger King reboasts with My Hero Academia better.
Oh,
Oh.
Jade. So true.
Oh.
Oh, pain.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
It's literally the adjusted version of anime food always looks so good, but I saw this thought, yeah.
Right. So your next
Relatable.
one is spicy. Spicy meme time. If you're watching this at work, you might want to close the window for a minute.
Close your eyes.
Oh my lord.
Ready for Gojo's comeback one way or another for JJK 217.
Oh my god.
Tonight ends one way or another.
Oh my.
Incredible.
Female Gojo fans are fucking weird.
Incredible. Oh.
The Szechuan sauce incident of 2017. The McDonald's employees who set up the Genshin Impact collab. I'll ignore that.
Oh god.
And lastly, for Thaylien.
Can I get some anime recommendations? JoJo fans.
Oh
Boku no
my
Pico fans.
god.
Oh no! Oh dear. Oh, all right. I'm sure Xeno's will all be more wholesome than that. Even his spicy one.
Friends need you. Come to Ryo's birthday party on September 18th at Starry. We will have music, delicious food, and lots of fun. You can't miss it. We are waiting for you at the party.
I hate
I don't
that.
know. I don't
hate
know.
it.
It was just. What
It's
the fuck is this?
It's so
Tell me
skibbity.
what's wrong with it. Yep. I just had to.
Phantom attacks the shit out of them.
Yep. Light Yagami does something. L. Wouldn't that make you Kira?
So true. Very accurate. Right,
Then
so this is
spicy?
Xeno's spicy one. So, same warning applies.
Remove your clothes. We need to talk. How to have a conversation. Did I miss a page?
That is indeed still more wholesome than Thaylien. All right.
Of course. All according to Keikaku.
Keikaku means plan.
Yeah, translator's note. Keikaku means plan.
Okay, and my heart goes doki doki.
I don't get it.
I'll explain when you're older.
I mean, I saw this one, but I don't get it. So
that's I think her name is just Bao. She's
Bao the Whale.
Yeah, she's a fairly popular VTuber, and that was a younger chibi-fied version of her avatar or VTuber, and the FBI opened up.
So what this is, I was actually there for this one. So it's a new chibi model for her thing, and when she said, "My heart goes dookie dookie," somebody played the FBI open up soundbite on her stream,
right,
which made her laugh, and so somebody just extended that into the actual video, which is
right. There you go. There you go.
It was great timing by whoever did the soundbite.
Okay.
So it's kind of you had to be there.
That's fair.
Yeah. But then again, Bao is not wholesome in the slightest.
I'm something of an isekai myself.
What, is she?
No, of course not.
Okay.
But it's just hilarious looking. It's just hilarious looking at Willem Dafoe looking like Freeran.
It is indeed. I will grant you that.
It's fucking brilliant.
Incidentally, for people who have not, just to warn people, if you have not seen Bao the Whale, don't go looking up clips of her in public, because her most popular clips of her are of her being completely unsafe for work. Like, Xeno knows of Von Lycon from Xenoblade Zone Zero, and her reaction to him is possibly the most is just feral.
Cringe. Oh god.
No, it's beyond cringe,
and that's why you should have safe search turned on.
Yeah, she literally starts barking for him.
Oh my god.
There's a thing where the voice actor for Blythe from Elden Ring was doing like birthday things on Fiverr.
Yeah.
And so somebody commissioned him to do a birthday a greeting for Bao.
Right.
And there's literally her reacting to it twice. Once to the actual thing, and once to somebody animating that reaction.
Wow.
And in the second one, she's literally screaming about how her ovaries are aching and she needs to be bred.
Oh dear fucking god.
You are all weirdos. My head is now stuck.
Absolutely.
Everyone stop watching by this point, I'm just going to say now. Right, so that's it for the episode. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching and or listening. And now it's time to bottoms up and Kanpai! I wish this was alcohol.